This is the Sourced Podcast, where cold mornings, screaming bull elk, and bent rods turn into legends told. Hosted by Nate Zelinsky and brought to you by Jiffy Ice Fishing, we go beyond tags and trophies, into the grind, the heartbreak, and the moments that keep us coming back for more. If it bugles, if it bites, if it lives wild, it's Sourced. Lock in.
Welcome to the Source Podcast. I'm your host, Nate Zelinsky. This podcast and every podcast officially brought to you by Jiffy Ice Fishing. I'll tell you what, today's guest, great friend. It's exciting, man. I got Mr. Jeff Suter. How are we doing, Jeff?
I'm doing great. Appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely, man. You know, it's kind of fun. So we do these podcasts and we launch them once a week, and we have a lot of guests that we bring on that, you know, it's exciting, and we talk to them, and I know them, I know who they are. And then I have a lot of guests like yourself, where very personal friends. It's so funny because I'll like run stats, and I'll have a piece of paper with like who you are, and I'm like, man, I didn't know they do that. Like that's cool, you know. So it's one of those things that I luckily and I'm fortunate to be friends with a lot of people in the industry. And it's so funny because we'll have people that I'm on here, and then I like look at who they are, and I'm like, well, you're a big deal at work, man. You know, I know you more on the friend side of things. So you know, we met through the Bowtech concept and archery. Now you're like director of product for all of Pure Archery, correct?
I am, yeah. So I get the luxury of getting to play with toys all day long and help the design guys. I'm not an engineer by any sake, but I like to play with those guys and see what they end up doing and coming up with some cool stuff. So I have kind of the fun job as everybody wants.
That's it, man. So, you know, you and I, we started off, you know, working together, right, through Bowtech Archery, and it was fun, right? We started off the career. You were with marketing at the time within that, and we kind of came together at the live concept of social media, right? We did live hunts. To this day, this fun little announcement. Everybody's like, Nate, why don't you have more of a social media following? Because we shot a lot of animals live on Facebook, and they didn't really love that. So I have a lot of hurdles that I jump over with social media, Facebook and Instagram, because I still kind of have a black eye from doing that. But we did a lot of cool things together, a lot of hunts together. You know, so yeah, we kind of start off there, and then just been in the industry and doing shows together. And today's podcast, man, I want to tell the stories of our past and talk about what archery is today, because it's changed, man. You know, the realm of archery in general is so different than where it's ever been, and it's just crazy.
Yeah, it's a different game now. It's kind of fun to be part of this. I've been in it for over 20 years now, so I've got to see the beginning before social media even hit. And then I consider you got bloodlisted instead of blacklisted.
There you go. Exactly.
A good problem to have, but not really, right?
I mean, that's it.
That was the kickoff for us, and that was what was cool. I mean, nobody was doing live events and live hunts and taking a different angle to the whole thing. And I remember you and I sitting in a room going, should we do this or should we not do this? You said, well, why not? What's the worst that can happen? Right?
That's it, you know. So, and it's funny because you and I both have a mutual friend who's been on this podcast, Mr. Tim Glom, right? So he's coming from like MTV Jackass. So you and I have an idea. We're like, should we do this? And then obviously you get the influence of Tim. He's like, should we? Yeah. Not only should we are, and we're doing it right now, and we're going big production. And I mean, it's just crazy. And we were one of the first brands to ever do live hunts. And it's one of those things that, right, you have the power of editing and you can do anything. But when you make it live, you have to perform. And it's one of those things. I mean, we did live pronghorn hunts, live turkey hunts. I missed a turkey live on turkey hunt, right? The easy of all the hunts, and I blew it. You know, but we did a live hunt in South Dakota for a mule deer that, like, it was a 30-minute standoff. I mean, like 10,000 live views watching me shoot this mule deer. And I can sit and I can kind of, every so often our camera guy would put the camera in front of me to show me live views. I'm like, oh, that's great. That doesn't make me more nervous, right? So, you know, we were the first ones to do it, and it was exciting, and it took us from there. And then we've done a lot of hunting together, and it's so funny because everybody, when I was starting off, you know, with Bowtech, we were doing a ton of gear together, a ton of, you know, just everything, content together, and everybody's like, man, you know, Nate, you're with Bowtech, like, you're like an Olympic shooter. And I'm like, oh, no, I'm a hunter, and like, shooting is not my thing. Everybody knows that, right? I mean, when we started off, I had a very coveted high-end sheep tag, right?
Right.
I mean, I publicly admit it. I missed 12 sheep. I could not figure out 40 to 60 degree angle shooting to save my life. I still can't today, right? You want to know my flaw? You break an angle past 30, 40 degrees on the steep factor, I'm done. I have no idea how to pull it off. So
it changes real quick.
Real quick. It's so funny. We have a mutual friend who used to do a lot of work together, and he was kind of guiding me through this angle shooting. And I would be like, "Hey man, here's my shot." I'm calling him from the woods. I'm like, "I have a sheep at 55 yards, but it's like 58 degree angle." And he's like, "Shoot for 11 and a half yards." I'm like, "Okay." I don't have an 11 and a half yard pin. I'm like, where do I put my 20? And he's like, you have no chance. And I'm like,
you don't even try.
Sweet. Thanks. I appreciate that. So we've done a lot of cool stuff together. It's fun, right? Of memories and moments. I've been pretty significantly lost in the woods one time in my life. And it was with you.
Yeah.
Like, no pressure. You're my boss. You're my sponsor. It's a big deal. We go on an elk hunt, and I get lost. So the fact that you're on the podcast today is a big deal here.
Well, in fairness, though, I will say I got lost first. I think the story went something like this, if I remember right. We were scoping, looking for a couple bulls. You had some decent bigger bulls in mind. Yeah. It was a little different location, but by day 3, I think it was, or day 4, I said, well, let me just go up here and see if there's any other bulls on the other side of this ridge here. And when we were glassing, you could tell there's a little finger ridge coming off the bottom side. And I thought, all right, I'll just have to keep an eye on that. So I pulled the map up. And I did, it was dark in the morning. And I thought, man, I feels like I got to go right. But the map kept saying, no, you go straight up this mountain. I'm like, geez, Nate's really put me on a heck of an adventure for my first round here in Colorado with him, And so I just trusted that map over and over. And I thought, holy cow, I got to the top of that. And I go, that wasn't lying, I guess technology works. And so the next day, I think it was, or maybe the 2 days later, you and I get up.
We're together this time.
Oh, yeah. It's dark. We start going. But here Nate goes, just tromping up through this thing, going, I got it. I know where this thing is. I know what this looks like on this side. I said, perfect. 10, 20 minutes in, he did the drift.
The drift.
Doing the drift. I said, Nate, we got to go up. I was right here at the same spot. I did the same thing you did. He's like, no, we got it. I said, all right, but I'm pretty sure we need to head back up. So we check for a second. We readjust. In Nate's readjustment time, it's not check the map constantly. It's 20 minutes later, we'll probably be close to where we're supposed to be.
Yeah.
So 25 minutes went later, and I go, Nate, I'm telling you, we're too far right. And next thing I know, Nate goes, yeah, I can see the truck. So we did a big kind of loop. We did
it's like a beautiful tour.
Oh, it was beautiful. By the time it was daylight, we were back towards the bottom where we weren't supposed to be. So that was our first little outing.
That's it. First outing together. We did not get the bulls, so we took a beautiful tour. We got lost, and I feel like we really learned each other. And if we can get through that, now we have the friendship that we're at now.
Yeah, it was a great time. I'll tell you what, I got a good exercise. I got my 2,000 feet of elevation change in, a few hours. So it all worked out.
No, that's it. I love it. So, all right, we have a history. We have this. Let's talk archery for a little bit because I'm excited about this. So the world of archery has changed so much. And I don't, just so viewers listen, I don't give you these questions because I want this to be organic. I want it to be real. I don't want to prep you and let you think about the nice PC answer that's supposed to be in that, right? You're a huge director of the biggest archery group in the country, but archery then versus now. Several years ago, Bowtech launched a bow. The first with all the capabilities, all this, and in my head, nothing could get better, right? Fast, accurate, everything, tunability, everything is the best of its best. How often do you struggle to release new products because you have created the best of the best? I want to know that as a product, it's got to be hard. Back in the day, there was so much room for advancements. And now, where do you go next? That's what I wanted to start the conversation with.
Well, just hit it right out of the gate. Appreciate the hard questions. We had zero. There was no prepping for this.
No, I don't prep it because I want to know that. It's crazy how good archery is now.
Yeah, it really is. And if you look back, like you say, there was a lot of room for improvement. But I think if you step back even further and look through different lenses, back then, the technologies we were doing to produce bows didn't exist as much.
Okay.
And so those steps we took did feel like larger steps.
Okay.
Even though we look back, we can go, hey, there's a bow from 20 years, 30 years ago, 40 years, whatever it may be, and go, wow, look how far we've come.
Yeah.
But we've always faced this challenge of, what do we do next? What is the next best step for archers? And yes, giant leaps. If you picked up a bow from 20 years ago to today, it's not even close, right? I mean, it's just a completely different world. And you hear it all the time. People come into the sport and they go, oh yeah, I shot a recurve in high school for a class. It's like, yep, get ready. This is a little bit different for you.
Right.
But to really get at what you're asking, it is a tricky and a difficult but very fun opportunity.
Yeah.
We look at every aspect and go, what did we do over the last few years that made a difference?
Yep.
First and foremost, and it's the consumer side. You mentioned a guy named Tim that came on the podcast previously. Yeah. We do a lot of research on consumers.
Yep.
And we ask them directly, what are you looking for? And more importantly, what are you not satisfied with in products? What is a frustration point to you? And we start to look at that side of the business and go, let's develop from there. And so we can create products that get us that next level. The issue you're running into now is you're so close to maximum efficiencies.
Yep.
You're getting those in the
you have to be.
Yeah. I mean, there's not a lot more room to go, oh yeah, I'm going to make this bow 400 feet a second. It still feels great to shoot.
Yeah.
Like that's just very difficult to accomplish.
Yep.
Right. So it became incremental steps.
Okay.
Every year you go, oh, that bow has a little bit of buzz that we don't like. How do we keep our energy and our speeds where we want it and reduce that buzz without adding more weight to it?
Yeah.
A bow, for example, it's typically, and probably a lot of your listeners know this, but if you don't know this, the heavier the bow is, the more vibration can kind of go through it. Yep. Right? It can control that feeling. So, but I don't want to lug out a 6-pound bow and then throw accessories on it and feel good at the end of the day, or even hold it up to shoot the thing, right? So we look at those little tiny steps, and then it just goes through just a ton of testing.
Yep.
And that's where the rubber hits the road. All the concepts and the fun ideas we have, it has to get validated. And so that goes through the R&D department, and we've got a lot of fun little tools back there to play around with. So we test it there first and go, does it even pass our sniff test? Did it work?
Yeah.
Get vibration down, for example. Did we get speed back up where we wanted it to? Did we get a shorter bow that feels like a longer axle to bow, or whatever angle we're going for that year? And then the reality is, put it in our hands.
Yep.
And Nate, you've been part of our testing. I've given those to you to go, hey, does this feel right? I think we had an 80-pound bow, if I remember right. I sent over your way and said, shoot this thing. I want to make sure it feels good.
Yeah.
Someone that's wanting to go pick up and shoot a little bit further, a little bit heavier arrow, maximum penetration, and go, what does it feel like for you? And that's in your feedback changed stuff that we did to it. Angles of limbs to whatever it may be. But those steps are difficult.
Oh, big time.
That's the fun part about it. It's staying on that cutting edge side to go, let's do something that they're not thinking about, right? What's cool that customer's going to go, holy crap, that was awesome. I can't believe they did this again.
Yep.
Or introduced this and they did it better than they did last time. This thing is really cool. So that's what I get to play with all day. That's kind of where it's going, is those little steps start to add up. I always say the little pebbles add up to a boulder.
Yep.
And if you can feel that difference and go, whoa, now I can tune my bow easier. That was a huge step to your point earlier. Where do you go next? When we brought out the deadlock cam system, talk about an eye opener.
I mean, unbelievable. Before we do, walk people through what that is, right? Sure.
Because
this is in my opinion, this is the biggest thing.
And it took a while. And so there's perceptions, right, in archery, and there's a barrier of entry. Regardless of what anybody says, it's not easy just to walk in a shop and go, I shot bows 20 years ago, and now what do I do? I'm just going to go and I'll be perfect and proficient. It doesn't really work like that. You have to put some time behind it, like any sport.
Yep.
But what we didn't have for years was the ability to tune extremely well and fine tune. And especially when we start to go from like a field point to a fixed broadhead or even a mechanical broadhead. I mean, we've all done it. We've all sat there, pulled back, and oh man, I'm shooting great. And then you go put a broadhead on, you're like, why did the arrow go over 6 inches left and 2 inches up, right? So that type of thing is all about the shooter himself, if he's just consistent. And that's the goal, right? We all got to be consistent enough to let the bow do its work. And the tuning aspect is where we leaned into it to go, the world is changing. There's a lot of do-it-yourselfers. There's a lot of people that want to work on their own gear. And the internet and YouTube videos have helped with that. Now there's access to it. Where access always started at the dealer. And the dealer was your tuner. He was the main, and he still is. I mean, they're great. They're experts in it. And, we entrust people to go to the dealer if they need it. But when you're out in the field or you're at home or wherever you are and you want to start to really dial in your passion, and this is for a lot of archers, they just love your tinkers. We said, how do we do that more effectively? So Deadlock does a couple of things for us. It's basically, when you set your bow up, try to make it easy. The goal is to have the arrow shoot straight through the bow. Right? So when you pull it back and you let it go, that arrow is as straight as possible, as simple as that sounds. You've got a lot of factors in the way. You got a rest sitting in here that you've got to get perfectly aligned to your riser. You have the human element like me. I torque just a little bit, but I can tune that. If I'm consistent with how I hold the bow, then I can tune that. So there's a little process, and I'll make it kind of short for us, but it's just called shooting through paper. And what that does is you take the arrow, and as you just draw normally, and you get your stance and you shoot, you want that arrow to go perfectly, and we call it a bullet hole through the paper. Basically saying, is my arrow straight? Is it off or not? Both up and down and left and right. Then typically, if you didn't do that, the old school way would be to move a rest. Now you're like, oh, it went through the bow wrong. And I'm consistent in how I shoot. So if I can maintain that same tear 2 or 3 times, I know I'm doing pretty good. Right? So then you just move the rest. But now we're moving the rest out of plane of the bow. We want the rest to be in line with that bow and not necessarily out. And when we were doing that, it may adjust it and you'll get that tear. But now you put on different heads or you do whatever, you're going to see difference down range, especially when you reach out, past the 20-yard mark, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. So the goal was adjust it from the back end where the power of the string is pushing it through. So we made an invention called the Deadlock system, and that actually lets the cam move left and right. Instead of moving it down here where the rest is, it lets the cam do this. So now when you go to full draw, you put that string directly behind that arrow and directly in line with the rest. And now when you shoot, your perfect bullet hole. And the beautiful thing with that is throw on any head you want. And it's just a little tinker with that thing. And now your field points to broadheads, to mechanicals, whatever it is, you're all same group. So that took the power of tuning and put it in the hands of the consumer. But it took a while because people were like,
it took a long time. So here's the reason why I said it's the single most important thing. And this is 2 aspects, right? So first and foremost, if you're maybe people listen to this, right? They're hardcore ice fishermen and they're like, hey, I have no idea what you're even talking about. But previous to this, when you had to tune a bow, more than likely, depending on the brand, we can even say we're talking to all brands, right? You had to go to a bow press. So you had to go to a shop, you had to put a bow in a press, a very, technical concept, we'll call it, and you had to tune it that way. So you had to essentially go to a shop to tune your bow. And so when you had a bow that wasn't shooting right, you had to be within the vicinity of a shop. So you had to go in, which was, right, a challenge. You're in the middle of a hunt and you're like, dude, I'm in the middle of Saskatchewan. I'm up in the mountains. I'm wherever the case may be. Am I going to have a shop? And so a lot of people shot through it. They're like, you know what? It'll be okay. Even though it's not shooting great, it'll be okay, which upon impact of an animal can be devastating to passing through or getting some sort of deflection and not being there. So having to go to the shop was a very negative aspect. 2, the amount of archery shooters to this day that are scared of a shop. right? We can say this all the time. You can go into a firearm sale. You can go to a Bass Pro, right? You can fake your way through buying a rifle. Yeah, I'm a big hunter. I know what I'm doing. I want that one, this one. You could lie through your teeth and you could get the firearm, get your tool for hunting and pull it off. Archery, you can't quite do that. So people are like, you know what? I don't know what I'm doing. I get scared of the questions that a bow shop answers, even though all the bow shops are friendly, right? We spend so much time at them. They're awesome. But guys get scared. Hunters get scared when they go to their archery shop. They're like, I don't know what he's going to ask me. I don't know what I say. And they like panic. So people get scared to go in. When you introduce deadlock, all of a sudden now, if you're that quiet person, you're the person that doesn't have access to a shop, you're a person that's scared of the shop, whatever the case may be, you can now do this at the comfort of your home. You can do it in the field. You could be at 14,000 foot on a sheep hunt and you can literally tune your bow, which changes everything, right? So whether it's you just threw your bow down a cliff and it needs tuned because something went out of whack, or hey, I just now decided that I got up to camp and it's windy and I'm going to go from a mechanical head to a fixed head or a fixed head to a mechanical. I need to tune my bow. You can now literally tune your bow anywhere. Yeah. And it's changed things.
Yeah, you've nailed it on the head. And that's one aspect of it. And then there's other areas to do that in the bow that we've done as well. Not to be, pitching it from the salesman side of it, but you're right. The reality of the consumer and what people are looking for. I can kind of equate it to the fishing industry, to your guys' industry. Yeah. And I'm the outsider here. I don't know the level, right? You and I have done some fishing trips.
Yes.
I can talk enough to go, geez, I don't look stupid, but it's not gonna pan out when he sees what I'm doing here necessarily. And that's the environment that we kind of live in. It's the learning curve side of it, and it's going, hey, how do I use this stuff? So we try to just lower that barrier and try to have that friendly approach to go anywhere you're at, anytime you need service, take it to a dealer if you can. But if you're, like you said, you're in the mountains, you're wherever you may be, and you can't do that, let's make sure you can work on it your own and try it and test it and see what it does. It's one of those deals when it clicks, you go, oh, I see why this is starting to work this way. Then it really starts to be powerful because now you can make these adjustments. You go, oh, you nailed it with, it's windy. I may not want to use a fixed head when it's super windy because I may get some little bit of drift. I need something more, tactile for it. And you can do that. And then you can make your little slight adjustment at camp and off you go. So it's a lot of little things like that add up. And like I said, those pebbles of technology and the user friendliness gets there. It's across the board. But again, to me, it's for your fishing side of it. It's like I pretend I know how to fly fish when I go out. But then I go to the shop. I'm like, well, what are you running? What leader are you putting on there? What leader are you running on that? It's like, you've been here 5 times. Like, don't you know yet?
And then you feel terrible. You're like, I'm never going back there.
I've got to go back, right? And so a lot of trial and error. And then I figure it out and I go, that works for this river that I'm fishing or whatever it may be, or lake. So it's the same way. So we just tried to go, hey, here's the tippet you use, so to speak, over here. This is what you want to do, and here's why you want to do it. And go play with it. Have fun with it. Turn the wrench on it a couple of times. You're not going to break it. Like, explore it.
That's it. So I had, a phone, right? So modern phone. I had a hunter that was shooting different tips, and it was like the night before the hunt. And this guy's like, I am panicked because I don't want to shoot this fixed head, and I want to shoot this. We're in like a hotel parking lot. Can't paper tune. He's like, what do I do? And I was like, I could tell already his mental concept, right? He was not confident going into this because he wanted to switch heads. And he's like, how do I do it? And he had the deadlock system. So we literally took a phone, videoed in slow motion, right? And I know that you can't encourage this because you should paper tune, you should do things right, but we literally videoed in slow-mo with a great phone camera watching his arrow flight, and you could see the back of the arrow in which the area that it was going, right? So a tear on a paper, you get a top right tear, you adjust accordingly. Just by watching the arrow fly on a phone in slow-mo, I'm like, hey man, it sure looks like that, the veins and the fletching on that arrow are high and right. Let's change it. And we adjusted his bow in a parking lot, never shooting it through paper, to where on slow-mo, I'm like, hey, it's good enough to where I don't see a thing on camera. All I see is the knock of that arrow. It looks good. Switch broadheads in literally a hotel parking lot. killed a big deer the next day. It was huge. And that's something that you guys, spearheaded. And it's so cool to see that. So talking about all the things that we started this conversation with, it's pretty neat to see that.
It's fun as can be. And to echo that,
yep.
I've had media guys out on hunts. And we've had instances where some of the stuff doesn't show up or their arrows get broken or whatever. We've had it where we've had to use other people's arrows, for example. I guess maybe that's equivalent of grabbing a rod or a different line in your rod. It's like, wait a sec, this is a little different. I got to get used to this. And the same scenario you just said. It's like, my sights are all lined in. I know exactly what I'm doing. I was hitting bullet holes at home or an elevation change or whatever it may be. And it's like, no, we got to get you arrows. We're going to get as close as we can. You're going to borrow, buddy's. And you did exactly that. And we didn't have the tools. We're sitting in a ranch with no internet even.
Yep.
And, you're barely getting a cell phone signal unless you're standing on a tower.
Oh, yeah.
It's just put a target out and shoot it.
Yep.
And then we realized, field tips. Now let's put your broadheads on. We got to make a slight adjustment because we got different arrows and different, what we call spines, and they move a little different when you shoot them. But that's the real world. And that's what's really cool about it is when we can take somebody that has a frustration or problem in a window and go, we got you covered. Yep. We can fix this for you.
Yep, I love it. All right, total switch topics. Now I got the next question for you. So I want to start talking good and bad, and we're going to really run with this one. But in the concept of archery, a modern archer, whether it's hunting, shooter, when I was shooting 20 years ago, right, 25 years ago, I shot 100 arrows a day, every day. I was a shooter, and I was good. I felt that I was a confident archery shooter, right? And when I went in the woods, it showed. Every animal I shot at, I shot great. You fast forward to today, my current bow tech is like a rifle. I pick it up, I drop back, I shoot, it hits a bullseye, and I'm like, like, it's pretty good. I feel like I can go hunting. So I seriously can openly admit that I shoot 80-90% less now because my bow is so good. And even though my bow is good, I am by far a worse archer because I'm losing the muscle memory. When I'm shooting 100 arrows a day, I don't need a rangefinder. I know what my ranges are. It's just so fine-tuned. When I shoot a handful of times before the season, I'm like, man, I'm just a little rusty. But once I have a range, I'm accurate. So I am worse of an archer. What's the consensus of the industry? Our equipment's better, our distance is better, our accuracy is better, everything is better. But I would argue that the average archer is worse because of lack of practice, because the product is making up for it. I want your take on that.
Yeah, I think there's some validity there, right? And to each their own on how much they practice and how much they do. And I think you'll see a big difference of weekend getaway guys that may pull it out of the case and go, I'm going to try it this year. And they go sling 2 or 3 arrows, go, hey, it's still hit where it was last year. Yeah. Right. And that may work if in certain scenarios when you're in a tree stand or a ground blind and you've got a good setup and your animals are only 20, maybe 30 yards out, you'll probably get away with that and not have too much of an issue. I will say your muscle memory is the key thing to this stuff. Yep. It's just like throwing a ball or whatever you used to participate in at that level. It's the exact same thing in archery, even more so to some degree. Even if you're that weekend guy and you're like, I don't shoot much. I'll go shoot 10 arrows, make sure it hits the spot, and I go. Imagine just holding at full draw and just holding that. And then you go, I don't have that shot anymore. Yep. And you have to sit there and hold this position as you're waiting. Well, your muscle memory is gone and your muscles that would hold that up aren't stable anymore. Yep. And when you start shaking, you go, I don't know what happened. I was right on them. It's like, well, maybe you were, but I'm sure your pins are doing this.
Exactly.
Right? And so it does make some people, I know it sounds kind of backwards, but it makes them more confident with today's bows. Yep. But you have to have more confidence in yourself, and that's repetition with it. Yep. And that's the difference between really good archers that are super consistent, that kill all the time, that don't run into, I've got shots constantly, things that nature. Now, don't get me wrong, stuff's going to happen out there.
Yeah. Exactly, for sure.
But that's the big difference. You're going to get to that level of, I was just talking to Paige Pierce yesterday, who is our, she's
do-all, right? She's everything.
She does everything. She's known for a competitive archer.
She started killing paper, and then she moved into animals.
Oh, gosh. And she's just a killer, right? And I said, well, what are you doing? I want you to, come to the factory here shortly, and we're testing out some new products. And so we're going to meet here, in a few weeks type of a deal. Yeah. She's like, oh, I just put 200 arrows through today. I'm a little sore, but, I got to shoot in a couple of days. It'll be fine. Now, that mentality, is the upper echelon. She's one of the best. But there's a lot of passionate archers that don't get too far away from that. They're out there every day, and it's at least one arrow. And it's the one arrow concept. Like, I'm going to shoot at least one time today, and they will be better when the season comes through. So it's not a huge gap, but the bows, you're mentioning it's just easier, more consistent. It's true.
I mean, my strings don't stretch exactly. Like nothing comes undone. Like I take it out and it shoots, and I'm like, felt pretty good.
The components are tighter. Everything is just more efficient across the board. You don't have to make adjustments nearly as much. I mean, you should always check it, but things don't come loose as much. So there's a lot of benefits to go. If I didn't have time, and this is what we like about it. If you don't have time to shoot an arrow every single day, you're not out of the game. Just respect when you do get into that environment that it's like, look, just don't try to extend it too far or whatever. You feel more confident with that. The nice thing is it doesn't take long. You can shoot for a month, and if you shot before, and you're back in it. You're going to be sore for a couple weeks, just like working out in the gym. But you're going to be right back at it. But it is a challenge because people get out, and we see it every day now. They go, I got a new bow. It works perfect. Do I have to make any adjustments? Probably not much. No. Okay.
It's just the truth.
It's true.
I love it. All right. So with that kind of concept, industry, whether it is you as a hunter or hunts that you've been on, right? You've got to go on some of the most epic hunts. I want to know, like, the biggest failure. What's the biggest mishap, right? Getting lost, breaking down, film crew not showing up.
Oh,
like,
gosh.
What's your story?
There's a lot of those out there.
There's a million of them, right? I was so nervous on a bow hunt with you. I totally missed an animal, right? Like, things come unglued when you start bringing industry into it. Every hunter listening to this has had a bad day where you miss the elk of a lifetime, the deer of a lifetime, whatever, where your bow blew up in your hands, whatever, right? We've all had stuff happen. And the more that you go industry and you throw a film crew on it, the nerves are even higher, right? So you take the normal static quo and you amplify by 100 when it's kind of industry related. But I want to hear a rough one.
The one probably that got me was it never made it to film. Okay. So it's one with a good group of guys called Heartland Bow Hunters. Okay.
We love those guys. Yep.
Yeah, good guys all the way around. Big fishermen, bass guys too. They do a lot of bass fishing. I was earlier in my career, but I was, not as much on the television side, and so they wanted me to join them and be at camp with them and whatnot. And so we're in a tree stand, and we're just waiting for this deer to kind of feed through this field, and lo and behold, here he comes. And it's getting to that point where it's still shooting light. It's not an issue there at all. He's just not committing to the distance, just feeding a little bit further out. And so I'm ranging, and it's first time I've had the camera over my shoulder. And so I'm like, hey, we can edit, right?
Yeah.
I can figure this thing out. Yeah, no problem. And we had this is perfect because we had just put lighted nocks on at that time. And where I'm from, we couldn't use lighted nocks at the time. And so that added weight to this arrow. Yeah. And so I didn't have, some of the tech we had. So I just started shooting. Well, I probably lost a little bit had more drop on that than I would in my typical one, not by much, right? Now this is more my excuse, right?
I was just gonna say, I feel, you're 15 grams,
right. And so, let's take that excuse out. The reality was I just misjudged him. Yep. And when I went through and we've been hunting, let me set it up a little bit. This is the last day. It's 7 days in. We've passed on different deer. It's like, no, let's try to make the show. Let's do the X, Y, and Z. I'm like, all right, because I'll shoot any of these things that walk across the camera, right? Not picky here. And I shoot, and immediately I knew. I went straight underneath him, and I was probably 12 inches below this buck. And I thought, well, the guy goes, no, I think you passed through. Oh, we got a visitor. I love it. He passed. It's like, no, I passed through. I'm like, I turned the camera and I used the wrong words, so we had to edit for sure there anyways. I was like, no, it's in the dirt. Like, it's
way.
Yeah, and so we look on the camera, and I look at it, and it is sure as enough. I am just even lower than I thought. I'm like at the bottom of his hoof.
Yep.
The one chance I have it with a great group of guys that they didn't.
This is your shot to like show that you're status quo with them.
Yeah, right. I'm feeling good. This is 15 years ago. I'm feeling like, all right, we get this. This feels good. And then we get back to camp. And naturally, next thing I know, we got everybody at camp, all the shooters, the whole family's there. And poof, up on the screen comes, guess what? Jeff's miss. Right? So now it's a game to everybody, what it looked like. But now we can laugh about it. It was a good time. But at that time, I thought, what am I doing? I get invited out. I'm the guy from the factory that's supposed to be the expert archer.
Yeah.
And I just shank it right on camera. And then we have a good laugh at it at the end of the day. But
it's so funny. Literally right before we went live here, I'm talking to my producer, Chris, here behind the scenes, and we were talking about that exact thing, right? If industry, right, work-related, if I need a clip, right, like I need that kill shot, that was so awesome, it will take my camera guy 4 or 5 days, a week to get me that clip. They're busy. They got to scrub through content. They got to do so much stuff, and they work so hard. But when you really need something, I'm like, I need that. They're like, I'm working on it. When I screw up, I say something I shouldn't on camera. When I miss, that edit comes out 45 seconds after I get back to camp. Like, I'm like, hey man, last week I asked for that cool clip. They're like, yeah. But when it's a good, funny thing, they will make a reel out of my misfortune in like 45 seconds. It happens.
No, it's a quick one. It's really fast.
I'm like, were you editing that in the truck? They're like, oh yeah.
I have this. I marked it. It's not a problem. I'll find that for you.
Like, we'll make sure we get that up. It's so funny. One of the biggest bulls that I've ever messed up on was that exact thing, right? So years and years ago, I'm hiking in and I am traipsing through the nastiest country ever, right? Snag my bow and I'm like, it's dark. I just rip my bow out of this tree and I'm good to go, right? So I get up on this meadow and I'm shooting a drop away rest, right? So everybody knows what that is. If you don't, literally when you draw your bow, there's like a string attached to it and it rises, what your arrow sits on. So hiking in, I'm doing my deal and I get my bow hung up and I rip it off and I don't check, right? I'm focused on the elk. So I get up extreme elevation. I'm on this bull and it's like dark and the bull's bugling right below me in like this little opening. And it's like the textbook scenario. I got cows on the other side of me. The bull's out in the meadow. Like, he's going to naturally walk by me, let alone the fact that if I blow a call, he's coming. I got the arrow up. I'm ready to go. I do one soft cow call. Here he comes. It's first light. It's perfect. I draw. Camera guy's videoing. Like, I cow call and stop him at like 35 yards. Like, he stops. I shoot. Everything's perfect. The bull kind of hears something. He kind of trots off and he stops. I don't take out another arrow. I don't even consider it. I'm sitting here and I'm like, oh man, that's a big bull. That's like a 370. I'm like, this is my biggest archery kill. I'm sitting here and I'm just watching him, and now it's taken like 2 seconds longer than it should for him to fall over. Right? I bugle after I shot. He runs 40 yards. He's just standing there. He's like 70 yards from me and I'm just waiting for him to tip over. And all of a sudden it's like that 2-3 seconds when he should start stumbling. And I'm like, why isn't he stumbling? So then I pick up the binos and I'm looking and I'm like, man, I don't see the red spot. I don't see it.
Yeah.
Then he looks over at me and he bugles and trots off. And I'm like, what happened? Like, I didn't see a miss. When I got hung up, I totally ripped and broke the string on the drop away rest. So when I drew, it didn't even remotely lift up. It's still shooting straight off of the bow, right? True. So I mean, literally from the get-go, I'm like 1.5 inches low on that start. So rewatch the video, same thing. At like 38 yards, it lands in the dirt before him. Like, it was so low, we didn't even see it. You know what I mean? And that's where it was hard because like in my head, I'm like, I followed through. Everything was perfect. You know when you miss. You know when you have a bad shot. And I was like, I was perfect. And my camera guy's like, well, obviously not. He's very realistic. And I'm like, no, but I was. He's like, say what you want. the bull's walking away. And it wasn't until we rewound it. And you just get those moments where you're just like, that was pretty rough.
Yeah. I've had another one kind of like that, similar to yours, elk hunting. 3 or 4 bulls coming out of this big kind of ravine area we're at. And I'm like, oh, we got this. We got to get down here. And the wind's right. Everything's right. And it's heavy rut action. I mean, these bulls are just screaming and yelling. I'm waiting, and I've got to just get up this little bank, and it's hard rock. And I'm just looking. I'm not looking down. I'm looking up, and I'm trying to figure out exactly, not get busted by a cow, not get busted by whatever. And so I'm not paying a lot of attention to below my feet scenario.
Yeah.
And I take a tumble rooski, and I slip, and my first reaction is to put my hand down. Well, I put the one hand down and I slipped even further, and now the bow goes and hits a rock. And I'm like, oh gosh, no. And I flip it over and I just smash that cam.
Yep.
And it is the cam where the string comes around at the end of the bow. And I smash that and I'm like, no, this can't be right. And I'm like, I can't shoot that. There's no way I can shoot that ethically. I don't know what's going to happen if I pull back.
Yeah.
Lo and behold, so I just sit there. I'm not going to bust these elk out here. Within 5 minutes, here he comes, trotting about 15 yards, hangs up and just looks at me. I thought, oh my gosh, I just totally lost this whole hunt that I've been waiting for.
Yep.
I mean, those are the ones that you wish you could redo. Like, it's just 2 steps. Just pay attention for 2 more steps.
And they know. The animals know when you can't do it, right? Like, I had the same thing. So years ago, this was not that many years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, I'm shooting. Everything's good. I'm shooting the night before the hunt, right? It's an archery elk hunt, the peak rut, everything's perfect. And I'm like, I got this. This is going to be a slam dunk tomorrow. And, feeling good. And I went inside. I set my bow in my truck, and I went inside, and I had my release on, right? It's on my hand. And I'm like, something was going on. I had to go talk to somebody. And I'm like, oh, I'll run back there and hook it on. I always, 1000%, never a day in my life, don't reattach my release to my bow. It's just, as a hunter, the release goes on the bow, right? So this is your trigger, this is your whole system, right? I undo it, and I just throw it on top of the bow because I'm in such a rush. And I'm like, I'll get that tomorrow, right? Next morning, I park, it's busy, there's other trucks in the area. It's like 3 hours before it gets light, but I saw a truck driving by, so I'm like, I got to go. Grab the bow, take off in the woods. Fast forward, I'm above tree line. Here's the bull. I have an 8x8, right? Luckily, since then, I have killed one. But at the time, I had never even seen a living elk that has 8 points on either side, right? So I'm already like, this thing's palmated out. And I go, I'm hiking in there. It's starting to get light. And I'm like, where's my release? So I'm digging across the bow, the pack. And then I realize it's sitting in the backseat of my truck. So I instantly am like, you know what? Hunt's over. You can't shoot a 72-pound bow with fingers, right? So the bull's right here below me. Same thing. I'm like, I'm not calling. I'm just going to let him do his thing. I'll watch him, and then I'll go get it, and I'll hunt him tonight, right? No problem. I'm sitting there, and here he comes. Does a 180 because he knows, and God has a sense of humor. He's like, I'm going to put that bull right in front of Nate just to watch what happens, right? So I'm sitting there, no release, and here he comes. So he's at 40 yards, and I'm like, this would be the easiest shot on earth. He gets to 28, and he starts feeding. So naturally, I'm not a responsible human being, so I'm like, I got to do it. So I take out the arrow. I can barely draw the bow back with 3 fingers, right? So I'm like, you got to be smooth. So I'm like, all 3 fingers at the same time. You got to let them go really smooth. Yeah. So I'm honed in. I missed by 9 feet, right? I mean, not even a chance. Bull runs off. Never saw him again because I should just let him feed. He probably would have came back out tonight. I would have killed him. But yeah, you just have those moments. And again, I was legit. I'm like, no way I'm shooting. And at 28 yards, when he put his head down, I was like, maybe this is a sign. Maybe I'm supposed to shoot. Maybe that's why he put his head down.
Maybe this is a great story.
But, with fears. That's it. But it didn't work out.
They have. Like you said. This God's sense of humor is real. There's something there. I mean, we joke when we're hunting a lot. We'll just say, "I'm going to leave my bow in the truck. I'm just going to go glass over here real quick, so we can see something."
Yeah,
right? So
exactly.
you don't take the bow out. You're only going to go 20 yards to look somewhere. You're going to have a bull or a buck or whatever you're after. It's going to be right there.
That's it.
You're stuck there.
And it's crazy how we always remember us. I was talking to Christy Titus about this. We always remember the failures almost as much as the success, right? Because it's the ones that got away that always are like so ingrained. And, the last hunt that you and I went on, I had an archery mule deer tag. It was like a tag that we're fulfilling while we're elk hunting. And I was in full draw on that buck. And I got it. Like, I got it. And you literally whispered in my ear, you're like, watch that stick to the left of him. And I'm like, what? And you're like, just watch that stick.
Yeah.
And it was like a friendly reminder. And then my brain, no clue even where the deer's at. I'm just looking at the stick. I'm like, oh, geez, there's a stick there. I didn't even see the stick. The deer's dead. And I'm like, well, don't hit the stick. Don't hit the stick. Look at the stick. Watch the stick. Make sure you don't hit the stick. Shot the stick.
Now, it's almost the thing you don't say, right? It's a hard one because it's kind of like,
that's it. You're just being a good guy. You're like, hey, don't hit that stick.
But at the same time, like, do I say anything?
Hyper focused on the stick, and I hit the stick. It's one of those things. But with all the failures, I want to know from you in all the career, the hunts, what's your number one hunt? What's the one that made the most to you? What's your most memorable, great experience?
Oh man, there's a lot of them. It's probably another elk hunt.
Yeah.
I'm eating up with elk. That's the thing. I love them. And I'd love to do moose hunts and that and whatnot and be successful there. But the elk hunt, I've had some experiences that I probably will never get to have again.
Yep.
I've had it, and I'll tell you the best experience I had. I didn't even kill on that day. We were hunting with a buddy of mine named Tommy, and known him for years. We're elk hunting buddies, and we got a good crew. One of the good crew with the right people, the right mix, the whole thing. And we're kind of hunting similar areas. We just break up a little bit, not too far out, but we're enough. And one's coming in from the side, one's coming in from the top, and we're still just kind of waiting for thermals to shift on us. And it just lights up like the 4th of July with bugles.
Yep.
And we just get lucky that our property that we're hunting on, the bulls are just coming through. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is just like once in a lifetime scenario.
Yeah.
And you can't go without 30 seconds without hearing a bugle. And so I'm with my buddy Perry. He's calling for me. And we start going through, and it's one bull after another. And again, I'll shoot about anything, but with that many bulls, I was like, no, we're going to hold out for something that's halfway decent, right? I must have set up probably a half a dozen times, and we called bulls in, and it was like close. And bulls are crossing the roads, chasing cows, crossing the roads, chasing cows. This went on for probably an hour and a half of just mayhem in the middle of it.
Yeah.
I finally turned it once, and I turned to look at him, and I'm like, not even sure which bull to go after. Like this, I've never had such a great problem in my life.
Just ever. Deafening. Yep.
Oh my gosh. And there was a 5x5 that was just a beautiful 5x5, and he just wanted to die. He just kept standing in this, running across, and his big 6x was pushing him off the herd. He'd come back in, pushed him off. But the big bull, this is what I loved about it. He had to fight off other bulls.
Yeah.
So he had the hot cow in there, a couple of them at least. And he had to fight off multiple bulls. And so I'm watching this. And I'm like, holy cow, man, this is insane. And I'd go to draw on this 5x5 like 2 times. I'm like, oh gosh, if he just stands there a little longer and another bull comes behind him, like, no, that's a bigger bull. Like, you're not going to shoot him. So that went on and on and on. And it was the coolest thing ever. It was one of those experiences. You're just like, you can feel it, you can smell it, you can taste it practically. It was that sensation that it's hard to explain to anybody unless you've been in similar environments like that.
No, I agree. Especially when there's just so much volume and so much noise, you know? Same thing. To this day, the smallest bull that I've ever killed was that same scenario. And it was an archery hunt. I actually did it for you guys. And I mean, it was like the goal was a big bull, right? We had 320s, 350s in the area and tucked into this back little canyon. So it made it worse because it was like an amphitheater, like totally round. And I think we had like 10, 12 bulls in the back of this canyon. They're all around us. They're behind us. Like they're winding us. And as they ran, it just fires up the other bulls. So like full mayhem. And with the acoustics around it, it's like deafening and you can't even keep track of what's what. And same thing going on like 2 hours of this insanity. And I am literally in a state where I'm like, I am not shooting anything that's not 350. Like I am going for a big bull and that is it. And like, you know, it's set and my camera guy is, you know, agreed to it and we're filming and all of a sudden this like little 5 comes squealing around from behind us. And he's got like the crooked eye guard. I mean, he is like the weakest of the genetics in this group. And he comes to like 18 yards and he lets out like the biggest big bull bugle that you've ever had. And like something came over my whole body. I just drew back and my camera guy, in the video, you hear him. What are you doing? What are you doing? He's like talking and the bull's like looking at us. He's like, what are you doing?
Don't shoot.
And I shot him. And it just like, it was one of those moments that I was just like, I still to this day, it's not a bull I would ever shoot just when there's big bulls around and that, but like it was just such an experience. I was like, he's the one. And it honestly, it was like a honing in because it's like, you know, I don't want to be a trophy hunter. I chase big bulls because I like the challenge. I like the concept. It's not like I need the biggest horns out there. It's just like, I love taking the oldest, the wisest, the hardest one. And I like that challenge. But in this case, like, man, it just tied me back to my roots and like literally something just came over me. And it's so great. The audio of the camera is like, what? Wait. Like he was so confused.
Rumble, mate. Rumble.
You know, but yeah, it's one of those deals that I mean, it's so cool when you have those days and those experiences that,
I think
bring
it takes over, right? Like in those environments, for me, it's like first you're just like, holy cow, I can't believe this is happening. You know, and again, these don't happen often. It's not like I walk out every summer and boom, this is all that's happening. Like I hunt hard, tons of public land, trying to figure out how these bulls operate, pressure with everybody else. And you got wolves and all sorts of stuff now that are not letting them talk as much.
Yeah.
But when you get in that special moments, your adrenaline's kicking in, but you're also in this weird state of calmness.
Yep.
Like for me anyway.
Oh yeah.
But then I start to go, am I going to miss out on shooting something here?
That's it.
You know, you're going after a certain bull, and like you said, the satellite bulls come in, and I've shot a few satellites doing that, across the, you know, through my times, and it's like I don't think I take them back, but I do think about like would
the
I
opportunities.
This bull or not. Another good one, I guess, to kind of piggyback on that experience. I think the other best experience I had that I didn't kill something on, I had harvested a couple days earlier on just a decent little bull, nothing crazy. And so my buddy was still hunting, and we had a pretty good pattern of where these elk were going. And so I sat way back, and I was just going to call if needed, and he shifted or whatever. And he had a guy that was calling for him, and I could tell they were getting closer. I could hear these bulls coming up the draw. And they were coming, going to just kind of cross, hit them right where you needed to, hopefully. And I could hear them. They were just cow calling, getting closer. And so every once in a while I'd throw a cow call if I could tell where they were. And I was just trying to keep them in that direction. But I'm probably over 100 yards, about 120 yards probably. And so I wasn't really doing much. I was just kind of more directionally. And I thought that I heard them shoot. And I started getting a little closer, but I didn't want to interfere. And I'm like, oh gosh, I could hear his cow call to that bull bugling. I'm like, there, he's right there. Like he's got to be within 20 yards of him.
Yeah.
Boom. Then I don't hear him cow call anymore. Now I don't hear that bull. I hear another bull down below. And I'm just like, okay. So I slowly make my way over there, and I finally see him. And they're like, yeah, I shot him. And I was like, oh, cool. And we start looking for his blood. At the same time, there's this other bull coming up the drop. So I just kind of bugle at him every once in a while. Just, you know. He's probably 250 out, I'd say. give or take.
Yeah.
He gets closer, and I would just another little bugle as we're just looking for blood, and so we finally let that just chill out for a second. I'm like, man, that bull's getting pretty close. And I got thick reprod in between me and him. And so I just cut him off just for fun. He starts to bugle and I just real short cut. And next thing I know, I'm like, wow, I just kind of want to see this bull now. I haven't got to get eyes on this thing. And so I bugle a few more times and I stop and I just sit there. And I'm just listening and waiting. And they're back. And they're just making enough noise that he probably thinks
it's to herd or
cow is, still he was hearing earlier or whatever it is. And that bull comes up just above me a little bit. And I look and I'm like, whoa, that's a good bull. Nice 6x6, just beautiful. And I'm like, dang, I'm surprised that he's still going. He's got to be able to see him at some point. And at this point, he's only probably less than 15 yards from me.
Okay.
And he's up this little thing. And I go, whoa, that's cool. So I just sit there and I'm leaning up against a tree on my knees. And he decides to walk straight down towards me for whatever reason, right? The wind at the time.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, this is cool. And so I grab my phone and I turn it on. I'm like, okay, this is cool. And I kind of get it and I zoom. He walks down to me and I got a reed in my mouth. And he walks, next thing I know, he's 5 yards. I'm like, this is the coolest thing ever. Like in the wild, this is nuts.
Yeah.
He takes another step. Now he's stepping right at me. I'm between this bowl is. I'm the only thing between this bowl and a tree. And I'm like, wow, this is really close. I'm sitting here like this. He gets close enough that I get nervous. He's going to guard me. Hit me with an antler or something. I'm like, whoa. And so he starts to take another step. And now I could just about slap him in the nose.
Yeah.
And I kind of jumped up like this, and I had that read, and I cow called at the same time, not on purpose. Right? It was like, meow, type of deal. And he just looked at me, and he took about 5 steps and turned and just stared at me. He didn't know what happened.
Just no clue.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you won't believe this, right? So that happens. I grabbed my phone, and I did not hit
record
on it. Nobody's going to believe this story. I promise this happened. But that was the coolest thing ever, to see that, smell him. You could hear his hoof just touching the mud. It was one of those experiences that I can. And I was in jeans.
Yeah.
I was in a pair of jeans and just a camo top at the top. It was one of those deals.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yep. I've
in my head.
I've definitely double tapped the camera. I wasted an entire moose hunt of my wife, our first bull moose hunt. So rattled that I phone scoping it, and I'm like, okay, we're good, and turn it on, turn it off, and not even do it. Yeah, it happens.
I know, gosh, but I tell you what, those are the experiences, man. They'll be in my brain. But to echo something you said earlier, the ones that stick with me are the ones that I missed or I screwed up. I just, my gosh, what happened in that scenario? And I got more of those than successes by far.
My sheep hunt, by far the biggest failed hunt of my life, and by far my most favorite hunt. The sheep thing for me is 3 categories. It was scouting the animals, and you had to know the animals, right? It's a unit where it's pretty cool. I ended up finding 4 additional rams in this unit that the biologists didn't know about. They literally say, here's what we have for rams in this area from flyover. And I found 4 additional. I went and talked to them about it, and they're like, you're telling me you found every one? I'm like, no, I found 4 more. And they're like, you're so full of it. So it was scouting as 1, and I nailed it. The physical aspect, right? To get ready to do a crazy sheep hunt, I lived at the gym. And then 3rd is that shooting. Right? I had been on a ton of sheep hunts before, and I'm on my roof shooting down tree stand type stuff, and I'm like, I got it. I didn't know the extreme, right? So I'm shooting 20 degrees. I'm shooting the typical tree stand type shot. I didn't know I was going to have to shoot vertical, and that's where I failed. But long story short, a tag that I'll probably never get again, a once-in-a-lifetime type tag, unbelievably disappointed to get one, but yet at the end of the day, the most memorable hunt I've ever been on. Right, 28 days straight or whatever. I mean, just epic. You know what I mean? Almost starving to death. It was amazing.
I remember calling you every day. You're like, you won't believe what happened.
Yeah,
I'm like, you have this again. I'm like, and you actually now you say this. You're like, what do I need to be doing? I'm like, well, do you have your rangefinder with your angle compensation in there? Vortex has a great.
Yeah.
Does it work? Are you doing it? You're like, no, I'm talking about this steep of elevation. And I was making some phone calls. I was like, he's hunting at this steep. He's at this level. And, he's just struggling to get the up and down figured out for his distance on that. They're like, oof. You've got to just go. You have to have different pin set. Like,
that's it.
Cut charts and all sorts of fun stuff, right?
All the angle compensation, they all go to like 28 degrees.
That doesn't go as far.
Yeah, when you're shooting 56, you're like tying yourself off to come over the cliff. And it was one of those years that the sheep were on cliffy stuff. And again, I found them every day. This is the worst thing to be talking to you as a Bowtech brand, person, but like, I ran into other sheep hunters one day, and this was like the worst and greatest part of my hunt. I was in a parking lot that was like the known area for sheep, and there's like 6 of the other sheep tags in this parking lot, and they are all complaining. Like 4 of them were like, I would just feel accomplished if I saw a ram. If I could see a ram, I would feel good. And then like 2 of them are like, well, we saw a couple half curls, but they weren't where we could go. I was en route to town to buy more arrows because I had missed so many. I didn't even have the heart to be like, frick, man, I've shot at half of them in the unit. But the reason they weren't getting them is because they weren't looking on the cliffs. It was just like every year these guys get them on, mellow grass and, little snow fields before the slides. And it was just one of those years that they were like skittish. They had a lot of predators in the area and they just lived in the cliffs. So like most of the hunters that week never saw a ram or that season. And I was on them. They were so pitchy. I just couldn't hit the things.
Well, how many people could get there? Like, how many tags were there typically?
That typical year, there was 8 tags. So there was 8 tags in that unit that year. It took 20 years to get the tag. And that's what it was. Not a single sheep was killed. One other guy did get a shot. And then you had me over there that was running out of arrows.
No more quiver. You need 3 quivers.
Exactly. All right, Jeff, last question of the day before I got to let you go. What are you excited about in the future? Is it products? Is it industry? What's exciting about the future?
Well, products are always exciting. That's to me, it's your passion meets the product is like magic happening.
Yep.
I think that's the coolest part. But I think we got a ton of opportunity to really engage from the youth side and the community side. There's a lot of great events out there right now. The TAC events, for one, there's, I don't know how many they have now, a dozen or more across different states. But it's the participation in archery again. And it's people picking up the bow going, whoa, my life is stressful or whatever it may be, blue-collar workers to, anybody that needs a break. And be able to pick up the bow and go, wow, my heart rate goes down, my endorphins kick in. This is something I really want to participate in. And you don't have to hunt. Like we talk hunting for elk and whatever it is, but we have a lot of people that just shoot a target in their backyard. And you'd be surprised how many people go, that's what I do at the end of my work day. The first thing I do before I go in, crack a beer, start dinner, whatever it is I shoot an arrow. Or 2 or 6 or whatever it is. And it's their time to wind down. I think the more the people start to really connect with archery in that experience, same thing as fishing. Excuse me. Same thing as fishing. I love that part. It's like I got 2 rivers less than 5 minutes away from me that I can go fish, which is great. And it's just that peacefulness of it. It's that kind of taking the load off and enjoying what you do. And archery, to me, it lets us do that. Whether you're in the backyard, whether you're 10,000 feet up and 2 feet of snow, which will be a story for another time. You tried to kill me. And we're trying to kill big bulls up there. It's just something that I think puts people into a new world, and you can kind of leave that old world behind, the stressful world we're in today, and just enjoy it and be part of that moment. So the product will be there. We'll keep making cool stuff that gets us there, but more than anything, it's what does it do when it's in your hand? How does that change you as a person? That's what really fires me up.
And I agree. It's almost like a release, like going to the gym, right? And that's what I love about the archery side that I don't necessarily get as much on the firearm side. I love the fact that it's something that I do that when I'm in that moment, I'm in that moment. I'm not thinking about the work stress. I'm not thinking about anything. Even if it's for 3 seconds through that draw cycle and that rest and that anchor where I'm like, I'm in tune to it. But sometimes that's all it takes to snap you out of whatever funk you're in or whatever life is bringing you. You just get that moment. It's awesome, man. Well, Jeff Suter, I appreciate the heck of you being on, man. Again, like you said, we could talk on and on and on, and we'll have you back on for more stories. But in the meantime, guys, again, that's Jeff Suter from the Pure Archery Group. Again, my name is Nate Zelinsky. This is the Source Podcast, officially brought to you by Jiffy Ice Fishing. Stay tuned for the next episode.